M5 reminds us why we love this particular recipe for a motor car. It's quite simple really. Take a load of power, 552 horsepower in this case, 502 foot-pounds of torque, throw it in quite an ordinary looking body style and you have the car for every opportunity. In a straight line this thing will stay with very, very fast sports cars and it's just as comfortable as a normal 5 Series. It's just the perfect recipe for an everyday car. But for me, most significant about this car is how much better optimised, how much more rounded an object it is than the car it replaces. You see, the old E60 M5 was something I was very fond of. Really, it was just a racing car powertrain trapped in a 5 Series body style. That V10 had to be revved like a lunatic to get anywhere. The gearbox was a pain in the arse. For 2 or 3 days, standard road test procedure, you'd love the car, but if you had to live with it, you'd get completely fed up with it after a while, and then you'd run out of fuel because it had a thimble for a fuel tank.
But that car's normally aspirated V10 was a musical instrument. This new M5 has 2 noise-killing turbochargers which smother intake noise so effectively BMW has decided to pipe fake V8 tunes into the cabin. It sounds weird, but you soon get over it.
One thing I really love about this car is the way that BMW M has listened to the feedback of the people that actually bought them and ran them and answered their questions and basically sorted out the issues they had with the car. We've got a bigger fuel tank now, thick end of 80 litres. We've got a brilliant double clutch gearbox that's so much better than the last SMG in here because the automatic mode is seamless and in manual mode it's like a Ferrari 458, wow, bang, immediate gear changes. We've got loads more torque as well, so the car doesn't need to be revved out as much, but if you do want to rev it out, it's still very exciting. So it rights all of the wrongs of that car, but here's an interesting point for you. In doing so, BMW's created a twin turbocharged car that's capable of seating 4 and a bit people with a big boot that costs well over £70,000. Well, there's another car in the marketplace that has a very similar specification when you look at it on a piece of paper, and it's not the most obvious rival to the M5. It's currently right behind me, and by the looks of things, it's about to overtake me because that's what it seems to do to everything else on the road. Of course, I'm not suggesting for a minute that the R35 GTR is a direct rival to the new M5 because it's not. You can probably hear just the ambient noise, the road noise in this cabin, that it's a far less refined car. But it's interesting, isn't it, that BMW's recipe for the new M5 kind of moves into the R35's territory. Twin turbochargers, big body style, they do share a lot in common apart from the way they bully a road because honestly, no mistake, nothing bullies a road like the R35. It's a quite extraordinary experience, and in fact, driving it in the UK when the weather's bad brings out all the very best in the GTR, all its extraordinary qualities. It's not like any other car because it actually feels like it's wrestling and pulling grip from the surface in a way that no other car does. It feels like it's driving its tyres into the surface. It's an extraordinary experience, and it just means you have so much more usable performance. Okay, it's a bit down on power, this 542 horsepower, but you know what? Even though it's 10 horsepower shy of the M5, you've probably got at any one time, because of the clever four-wheel drive system, I'd say another 150, 200 horsepower at your disposal. The systems hardly ever cut in, and when they do, you don't really feel them. This is an extraordinary car. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A lot of people complain that the GTR is a bit soulless, like a computer game. It's absolute nonsense. How could anything that's got a twin turbocharged V6 with a transaxle gearbox that then has to shove a load of power to the front wheels through a shaft that comes back up the side of the car, how can that possibly be boring? It's mechanically fascinating. There are 2 real reasons why I got them together. The first is quite obvious. They've both got turbocharged engines, they're quite big on the road, and they can carry 4 people. The second is very important. Speaking to the powers that be back at HQ in New York, these are 2 of the most searchable cars on Google. Why wouldn't you put them together? 2012 GTR, 2012 M5, That's search gold. So that's why they're together. And even though they're not direct rivals, these two cars do make you question the other one in interesting ways. For example, you don't appreciate how big and slightly cumbersome the M5 can feel at times compared to the R35 until you've had a good blat in this car. It's just extraordinary the way that it can be nearly 1,700 kilograms, well, a little bit more actually, and still feel so nimble and agile. Clever differentials all the way. Conversely, the interior of this car, even though it's quite interesting the way it's laid out and quite funky, quite manga, it's just not got anything compared to the quality of the BMW, which is just a really beautifully put together object with top quality materials. This is a bit lower rent, and at the money they're asking in the UK for a GTR now, does make you question the proposition a little bit more. But I tell you what, my 3 days with this car have been exhilarating. I don't care about the noise. I think I'd struggle to live one every single day, but everyone that loves driving should be prescribed a few days in a GTR every single year, because it's just, well, like this. Third, fourth. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. After the GTR, the M5 does feel like a very big, heavy car. 1,945 kilograms with a bit of luggage and someone else on board. That's really a 2-ton car. In this day and age, it's probably not excusable. It's physically big as well. I mean, just the space between me and the passenger is enormous. It feels like a 7 Series in here. That's because it's kind of 7 Series side. But there is one area where the BMW absolutely crucifies the GTR, and that is in terms of cabin quality. The GTR used to be a £50,000 proposition in the UK. It's now £70,000. That elevates it to an entirely new level. Whereas once it used to be this bargain supercar, it's now priced like a very premium sports coupe, and it doesn't have any of the trim materials, doesn't have the design. It just lacks the feeling of quality that this car has, and that shouldn't be underestimated, because if I was going to spend a lot of time in either of them, this is the one I want to be in.
These are very much road cars, but they're also fast enough to land you in real trouble on the road. So we're heading to the brilliant Castle Combe circuit, which, in the lashing rain, is scary with a capital F.
Let's have a bit of race mode and a bit of traction control off in a GTR, 2012 GTR. It's absolutely soaking wet at Castle Combe circuit. In some ways, that's a bad place to test a GTR. In other ways, it's the perfect place. 4-wheel drive. This is supposed to be the supercar that can do anything in any condition. It is a bit surprising sometimes though in the wet, because if you give it a bootful, it does that straight away. Forget all this nonsense about the GTR being characterless, bland and all that rubbish. This is actually one of the most interesting cars in the world to behave badly in, because everything I try to do with the throttle and the steering, it wants to counteract. I'm locked in a fight with the differentials. Watch this. So we pitch it into a chicane, car oversteers one way, got to make it oversteer the other. Look at that, the differential just said no. And then it gave me some oversteer on the exit. It just wanted to understeer through there because the clever brain said, I know Mizuno-san, who developed this car, would like us to actually go straight now. We'll try it again going the other way. I do love this. That's conventional oversteer. And then back the other way. Yeah. That felt more predictable because I wasn't fighting the diffs quite so much. The classic cornering stance is like this though. We come second gear into a corner. As I put the throttle in, the car oversteers, but as I correct, then the diff straightens the car. You see that? The wheel just straightens. And there's no point in me fighting that at all. I've just got to go with it, because that's what the car wants to do. This is technically one of the most impressive cars ever made. 542 horsepower now for 2012. I mean, does it get any faster in these conditions? Certainly doesn't, and it's certainly quicker than the new M5. So The new M5 may have all the technology, the dual clutch gearbox, the twin turbo V8, but ultimately it's yobbo. It's a lunatic. It's basically a V8, locking differential and two-wheel drive, and unlike the GTR, there's nothing to fight here. You just put the car in, you light the rears up, and you just ride it out. Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. What you do find remarkable about both of these cars is the throttle contain between like 4,000 and the limiter. They feel normally aspirated because you can modulate the throttle. So we go in again, third gear, I'm going to have a hoofer throttle, I want to come back out of it again, now I'm just stabbing it a few times, try and hold it there, and it doesn't feel turbocharged to me, it just feels like I've got a very normally aspirated V8. You gotta love M5s. There's no other car does that stuff.
Are they rivals? Not really. Is the GTR faster? Yes. Would you rather live with the M5 every day? Of course you would. Did I enjoy them every mile and every minute? Two great cars.